What is going on, people? TripleM back again with another video. It's a daily dose of football content, and tonight I've got a very short and sweet video for you guys discussing the Liverpool game as they get a huge result against AJAX at Anfield. And honestly, what a result for Jurgen Klopp, and what a result for Liverpool. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this. As a United fan, I was expecting Liverpool to be terrible tonight, not because I'm a United fan and I'm salty, but genuinely speaking, their performances haven't been great this season. I mean, the opening day against Fulham, the 2-1 loss against us, even the 2-1 win against Newcastle wasn't that great across the 90 minutes. They won in dramatic fashion, but it wasn't a great performance. The Merseyside derby, the Napoli result, there's so many results you can point to and say that was maybe a foreshadowing for tonight, but I suppose I was wrong because Liverpool did everything correctly tonight. Now, yes, they got carved open a couple of times by AJAX this evening, but I think on the balance of it, they were the better team. They had more shots on target, they had more high quality chances created, they had more of the possession, they had a control in terms of the fluidity and the momentum of the game, especially towards the end. I think AJAX were only able to dominate in moments and cause threats in moments, but it wasn't enough ultimately to seal the 3 points. And towards that last sort of 20 minutes at Anfield, it looked like AJAX were trying to run away with a point, whereas Liverpool were just barreling down the door, and eventually the door braked. The hinges came off and Liverpool got the 3 points. And for me, man of the match has to be Joe Matip, not just because he scored the winning goal. Even before then, I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch. And the reason why is because I feel like Joe Matip doesn't get the flowers he deserves. He puts in such subtle performances. You know, he's not a very aesthetically pleasing footballer, but what he does in terms of making Van Dijk a better player, in terms of making Fabinho in front of him a better player, I think goes unrecognized. I genuinely believe Joe Matip is the glue to that defense because Van Dijk is a better player when Joe Matip is next to him. Van Dijk is a player who thrives on reading the game and his positional awareness and his overall intelligence, right? Ever since the injury to Pickford, he's lost a bit of athleticism, and you can tell there's been a drop-off in his performance. And I think that, coupled with the fact that he hasn't been playing with Matip consistently in most games, has really messed him up. He hasn't had that consistent, rock-solid centre-back partner next to him. But when Matip comes into the team, you can see there's a difference. There's an understanding between the two of them. You know, there's almost a perfect chemistry, an unbreakable bond, and I think that showed again tonight. Now, yes, Liverpool did get carved open a couple of times by AJAX, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, Mohamed, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his second name, but Mohamed, the young sensation from AJAX, scored a beautiful goal. A beautiful goal. And whilst it was an amazing shot that Van Dijk had no chance of stopping, there was definitely some steps he could have taken before that to prevent him having that much space in the first place. And this is where you see the weaknesses of Van Dijk, because he's not a great active defender. He tends to prefer the passive role. And I think Van Dijk struggles differentiating between active defending and passive defending. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're an active defender, you're somebody who's aggressive. You're somebody who gets out of position to be proactive and try get the ball. That means your tackling, your athleticism, and just your ability to win the ball 1v1 matters. When you're a passive defender, it's more about the intelligence. It's more about the positional awareness. It's more about waiting for the attacker and seeing what they do and then reacting, right? You're not being proactive, you're being reactive. Right? So I think Van Dijk is more of a passive defender, and he can be active, but he just doesn't know when to do it. And I think he relies on the person next to him doing it so that he can just play the more passive role. Similar to Varane at Manchester United, right? Varane has come to life ever since Martinez has come into the team. Why? Because Martinez can take the aggressive and active responsibilities, and Varane can just linger around in the back and wait. But, you know, that's just the way I see it. I might be completely misanalyzing Van Dijk's game tonight, but that's just what I think of him as a defender after watching a handful of Liverpool games this season and a handful of Liverpool games towards the back end of last season when they were struggling. Anyways, moving into the midfield, I think Thiago Alcantara had a decent game. I believe he had an 89% pass accuracy. He lost the ball 13 times, I believe, and I'm not sure. I think he attempted 61 passes and only completed 52, so around 89%. He had a decent game, and I think he brings a control to Liverpool's midfield that they've been missing for a very long time. And him being injured really does hinder Liverpool a lot. And then you've got Fabinho next to him, obviously. Harvey Elliott, I don't think Harvey Elliott was great. I think he just put in a shift, but Fabinho did what he had to do tonight. He wasn't as tidy as you'd expect Fabinho to be for his standards, but he did a job. He did enough, right? He did enough. I would say Harvey Elliott was the weakest link of the midfield three, right? And I would say Harvey Elliott and Trent on that right-hand side, they're just not good for Liverpool, right? It's one thing to have a right back who cannot defend, but when you have a midfielder who's also particularly weak at that role, it compounds the issue. It exacerbates the issue. So I think that entire right-hand side for Liverpool is weak, apart from Mo Salah. I mean, he scored tonight, and without his goal, Liverpool draw this game, or at the very least, probably lose this game, because I think the fact that it was 1-1 instead of 1-0 down influenced the events, right? In other words, I don't think Joe Matip gets that win at the end of the game if Ajax were actually leading up until that point. But if buts and maybes doesn't count, the point is Mo Salah had a decent game. Diego Jota, I think, had a decent game as well. Not amazing, not poor, just decent, right? Somewhere in the middle. I thought he was active. I thought he did what he could with the tools that were given to him. I thought Luis Diaz didn't have a great game today. I'm not going to lie. He usually looks like the most threatening player for Liverpool nowadays. Even though I think Mo Salah is your best attacker, he hasn't had the greatest of starts to the season. I think Luis Diaz has been your best attacker and your most threatening attacker up until tonight. Tonight, it looked like Mo Salah was starting to get a little bit of that magic back, right? He was looking a little bit more impactful tonight, if I can put it that way. But apart from that, I've got nothing else to say about Liverpool. I don't want to spend too much time praising Liverpool as a Manchester United fan. It's going to be interesting to see how they pick up the pieces from their very underwhelming start going forward after this big result tonight, because, I mean, with the international break coming, it's a chance for everyone in the Premier League to reset. It's a chance for everybody to work on some tactical issues and iron out some of those creases in their team and in their performances. So maybe Liverpool will come back a stronger team after the international break. I'm not sure. I made my Premier League predictions videos in which I said that Liverpool's season, will depend on their decision and how they solve the Klopp situation. And I mean that sincerely. I wasn't being reactionary. I wasn't being hyperbolic. I wasn't being clickbaity. I mean that sincerely. I think Liverpool are in very big trouble this season, and tonight's performance won't change my mind. I'm not going to suddenly flip and do a complete 180. I think Liverpool are in massive trouble this season based on how they've started. And if they do not address these issues and fix them quickly, I think we could see the capitulation of Liverpool, and that's got nothing to do with me thinking their players are trash or anything like that. I just think we're at the end of Jurgen Klopp's era. I think he's done all that he can, and it's the end of days. But that's just me. Some people might disagree. Leave a like on the video. Leave a comment if you do disagree. And even if you agree, leave a comment on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It's been your boy TripleM. Peace.